Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be upgrading my main gaming/editing rig. This is a mix of new and existing parts and we're going to give it a nice little performance boost as well as deal with some practicality issues. Chiefly this means we're moving away from having any RGB in this build at all and seeking to make things as quiet as possible. This is especially important to me as I use this rig for all my voiceover work and university studies, so I need it to be as quiet and non-distracting as possible for these tasks. The main contributor to this is the Antec P101 silent case. Fans of my videos might recognise this case from my home server project, and I liked it so much I decided to bump it up to my daily driver rig. The case features a windowless design and sound dampening material on all of the panels designed to keep noise to a minimum. It also has three 120mm fans at the front and a 140mm exhaust fan at the back, so it should keep things relatively cool. For the motherboard, I'm reusing the MSI X570A Pro from my previous build. It's a good motherboard and it meets all my needs, so I saw no need to upgrade. It also matches nicely with the monochrome look of the case. The CPU is one area where I'm improving performance, moving from the AMD Ryzen 3900X in my last build to the 5900X this time round. This might seem like meagre performance gains, but for multi-threaded workloads we're looking at around a 20% uplift depending on which benchmarks you look at. This makes a big difference when video editing or running virtual machines for my studies. To cool that silicon down, I'm moving away from liquid cooling and going with the Dark Rock 4 from Be Quiet. This promises to dissipate up to 200 watts of power, so should be more than enough to keep the 5900X cool even when overclocked. For graphics, I'm moving away from the 5700 XT in my last build and going with the mighty Nvidia RTX 3080. I'd like to say that I picked this gigabyte variant on purpose, but truth be told it was the only one I could get my hands on. This Eagle version comes with a small factory overclock and I should be able to squeeze slightly more out of it if needed using Gigabyte software. For memory, I'm replacing the G-Skill Trident Z RGB sticks from my last build with these Kingston HyperX Fury sticks. These are 16GB each and run at 3200 MHz, giving me equivalent performance while only using 2 slots, so I can double up to 64GB of RAM at a later stage. In terms of storage, I'm retaining the Samsung 970 EVO Plus NVMe drive from my last build, and in fact I'm adding a second identical unit that I had lying around. One will contain Windows and my core productivity apps, and the other will be used as a scratch drive for my video editing projects. This might seem like overkill, but since I moved from shooting in 1080p to 4K, it's surprising how much a SATA SSD will bottleneck during editing, so moving to NVMe was a must. I'm also retaining the Samsung QVO 860 SATA drive from my last build as storage for games. It's a relatively cheap drive, but it still has lots of life left in it and performs well for loading out games quickly. Lastly, I'm adding a Seagate Barracuda hard disk for some mass storage. This will store backups of video projects and less intensive files like reference materials for all my uni work. I could probably get by without it given that I have a home server as well, but it's a nice to have. Lastly, on the drive front, yeah, I'm that guy that's still rocking an optical drive in 2021. I do occasionally still buy media in disc format, mostly CDs if I'm honest, but occasionally my daughter will fall in love with some obscure show that isn't on a streaming platform, and then I need to be able to buy the DVDs so I can rip them to my Plex server. I also write a surprising amount of media for my retro projects, so it's worth me still having an internal drive to copy old drivers onto CD. To power all this kit, I'm upgrading to this 850 watt fully modular unit from Cooler Master. It's beefy enough to manage the 5900X and the 3080 at full tilt and has enough expandability for any future hardware I might add. With all that detailed, nothing else to do but to put this thing together, so let's crack on with it. So yeah, it turns out that non-RGB builds are kind of dull to look at, though saying that, I still think it looks pretty awesome. That dark rock cooler is an absolute unit and blocks out most of the motherboard, and as monochromatic builds go, I think I've done a pretty good job. I could have gone further and ordered some nice PSU extension cables to hide the spare connectors of the stock leads, but as this is a windowless case, that just seemed like money wasted. So, how does it perform in gaming? Let's find out.
Chance to pitch in.
For March. Sorry, Cal.
Don't worry about it.
I don't think these tools are gonna make it through the ship.
Up here.
You say that.
Good to see you.
You get yourself killed.
That's the idea.
So I think we can all agree that's pretty awesome. That 3080 just shreds 4K gaming, and the 5900X backs it up really well. But that's only half of this build. What are the thermals like? Well, under a prolonged load with Cinebench R20, the CPU never got above 74 degrees. And during GPU stress testing with IDA64, the 3080 never crept above 72 degrees. It's worth noting that these temps were recorded with the case door open and the fans running in high mode, but it's still pretty decent performance with a case that's literally wrapped in insulating material. With the case door closed, it's noticeably quieter, though I'm sure things would heat up significantly if I let them. The beauty of this machine is that I can keep the door firmly shut when I need to study or record voiceover, and then throw it open when it's time to take on the villainy of Night City. So there you have it, guys. I hope you like this build. If you have thoughts either way, feel free to let me know in the comments. Like this video if you feel like it, and if you'd like to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel. With that said, all that remains is to wish you a great day ahead, and until next time, bye bye.